Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Total protonic reversal.
Protonic Reversal.
Protonic Reversal with your host, Conan Neutron. Broadcasting from a secret underground lair in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
A gigantic middle finger to everything that is rock about music, rock and roll, and corporate power.
The thing is, though, if you don't laugh, you're going to go on a killing spree with sharpening nails.
Confidence of a hero or a fool. I wasn't exactly certain which.
Could not be more professional.
It's only one I choose to devote my life to. That's okay.
It means something. It means something.
And take that away.
You know, that's my take. What's yours?
Protonic Reversal.
That's like a science thing, right?
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. It's a science thing. It is a science place. It is a scientific fact. We are all up in your face. It is time once more for the one, the only
Protonic Reversal.
Holy moly, what a great show today. Jam freaking packed. So jam packed, I'm going to just skip a large portion of the preamble here. We got Buzz Osborne, King Buzzo, the Melvins. And we have Billy Gould, Faith No More. And holy moly, really excited to talk to both of them. And it's going to be a heck of a good time. So, without further ado, let's hear from the King Buzzo with Trevor Dunn EP. We'll do 6-pack, and then we'll be right back with Buzz Osborne.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
And right now we're speaking with none other than Mr. Buzz Osborne. Buzz, how you doing, man?
Great. Live from the quarantine zone.
I was going to say, how's quarantine life, LYFE, treating you?
Not a whole lot different than normal life, actually.
Is there a lot of COVID panic in Los Angeles right now?
Yeah, I think it's probably as much as anywhere else. I just wish they'd just lock it down and get it over with.
Yeah, it's sort of like this lockdown in stages is kind of like a weird move. Like, all right, everybody's going to buy all the toilet paper because that's a thing that everyone's going to do.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah. I guess they're expecting to do a lot of pooping.
Doesn't make any sense. You know?
In these strange times, you have a new album that you just did with and you have Trevor Dunn on this one. This is like an acoustic record, just like the other one, but it's not like the other one because it's a duo.
Yeah, have you heard it? You've heard it.
I heard a couple songs off it. Well, first of all, I feel that Six Pack has maybe the coolest intro bass line in the history of music. The Black Flag
you
song.
heard Six Pack, yeah.
Maybe the coolest bass line in the history of music as far as an intro.
Yeah.
I was very excited to hear that and hear your arrangement of it, of which is, and I say this as a Black Flag song, is pretty much a very ridiculous song, but I thought you handled with aplomb and vigor. What led you to that being like one of the songs that you included on the record?
That is not on the album. It's just available on the EP.
Oh, is this the EP? Okay, gotcha. All right.
Yeah, there's a 6-song EP that's coming out that has 2 songs on the album, and then the rest of the stuff, including Six Pack, is not on that record. So 4 songs that aren't on the record, including Six Pack, and 2 that are on the record. It's not dissimilar to the way we do stuff with Hazelmeyer. We do a hyper limited thing, and then it has to tease a couple songs off the record as a setup. That's kind of how people always did that kind of thing. It's like they'll do a single of the record that's on the record, blah blah blah. Before the record comes out. Right, and this is the ones. Similar idea. Tom does, a friend of the show, and he does these limited edition kind of lino cuts. That really cool art pieces that just on their own are really awesome. They're amazing. I mean, it's kind of the way that this sort of thing works with him is you provide the music, he provides the art, and then they're always silk screened and really cool and all that kind of thing. So, and it provides something where, and we've talked about this a lot on the show, not just with Tom, but with almost everyone, that if you're providing a physical product to the world, to be able to give somebody something unique and interesting that isn't just like a mass-produced thing, something that like literally is touched by the hands of humans, is kind of like a special and cool thing to make it worth everybody's while. That's the way we look at it, And it always irritates me to go, people charge your arm and leg. It's like, okay, you don't get quality stuff for nothing. And it takes effort. It's not like you're just throwing it in the machine and pushing the button. Like it's. No, I mean you want cheap crap, go buy cheap crap. There's plenty of it. If you think this is so expensive and you can't afford it, then my suggestion is I really seriously doubt you should buy it. It's not for you, and that's okay. No, you probably have some kind of financial difficulties that go well beyond buying records. So, if you can't afford it, don't buy it. Else who will want it? And the music you'll be able to hear no matter what. Yeah, I have not heard one person ever say, those records are so expensive, it made it to where I couldn't hear the music. It's like that's the one universal truth is if you want to actually hear the music, you can. Just pick your format. It's there. It's all there. Listen to it. It's out there. Someone will have it on YouTube inside of 5 minutes without me doing a thing. I don't have to do a thing. There it is. It's a system working. There. So whatever. That's just the world we live in. So you got it's the first time in history, just in the last decade or so, where people can actually hear stuff without ever buying it. Well, it's for better or worse. It's like there it is, but people will still find something to complain about no matter what. Oh yeah. There's an unending repository of complaint within the human psyche. I think that's sort of baked in. I want it cheaper. Me. Yeah. Well, we're not McDonald's. So, yeah. Well, and nobody's forcing anyone to buy like a limited edition thing either. That's my whole point. Don't buy it. I think it's if nobody can afford it. I mean, we might be running into some rough economic times coming up. Maybe there will be a lot less people that can afford that sort of thing. It's understandable. But everybody's going to have to go through that, not just with records, but with everything. So we're living through weird times. It's odd. I don't quite get it, but I've never really understood. I mean, that aside, I've never understood, the complaining nature of people. Anyway, I mean, I can't imagine doing that. It's like I'm going to get online and talk about what I think is wrong with these people putting this music out. It's music, motherfucker. It's music. I read some study some years back. It's not overly important. You know what I mean? Yeah. In the grand scheme of things, it's not. We're not talking about anything that's overly important. We're talking about art, and art is separate. It's separate and special, extra thing in your life. Once you've got everything else in a line, you can afford to do this art thing. That's great. I think it's great, but let's not bitch about it. Come on, I'm doing the best I can.
I read an article a couple years back that said that people get a dopamine response from complaining. Certain people in certain parties, like a certain type of personality type, that like literally they get like a high from complaining
I
about
doubt
something.
it. I mean, well, Ted Bundy used to get off on raping dead chicks. So.
A bit of an
I don't know how the human mind works. There's a lot of weird theories out there.
So, what's right now as we talk? Are the tour dates still on? Are these going to be postponed? Do we even know?
Well, to me, my tour doesn't start till May 13th.
Yeah, it seems like there's enough of a window that if we have our
So I
stuff
don't see
together,
any reason why I should, cancel it until I absolutely have to. I kind of figure that cancellation for me won't be until, mid-April probably.
yeah, and ideally we'll be in a better position.
Yeah, granted I certainly don't know everything, and I'm not a MD, but certainly the people who run our state here in California are not standing up with the best and brightest physicians from the state talking about what we should be doing. They seem to be doing it all on their own. It's more like they're reacting to the panic as opposed to reacting to what. And I think that's people. Politicians react to panic. That's what they do. It's not a surprise to me. I don't know what should be done. I'd imagine that their computer models are based on the scenario that everything we're doing right now will make no difference at all. I disagree. If you isolate yourself, I saw this online. If you isolate yourself, and let's say you see 25 people in one day, and you cut it down to 3, well, that lowers your chances of getting it astronomically.
That's called flattening the curve, I think, if I remember correctly.
They're not taking that into account.
Well, and
they're pretending like everything we're doing now will make no difference whatsoever.
Yeah,
that's just not true. There's no way they can figure that one into it.
Well, I think if people don't understand exponential growth, I think is part of the problem.
Yeah, and then also I think they're underestimating the ability for doctors to take care of sick patients in the first place. And they can do something for you. They're saving people every single day.
Right.
It's not like everybody that gets it just falls over dead, bleeding from the eyeballs. That's not happening. So we'll see. I might be wrong about everything. Who knows? I'm no expert, that's for sure. But I tend to think, let's think about this. Computer models and stuff like that are really only as good as the people or the information you put into them.
Right.
So there's certainly a room for error there. But anyway.
And even with social distancing and quarantining, my cousin works in D.C., and she was like, oh, yeah, everything's shut down, but basically all the millennials are going out to bars to drink. Which is like, oh, well, that just defeated the entire purpose of what you're trying to do with your workplace.
Well, they can get sick.
Yeah.
I'll heed their warnings. They can get sick, and that will be better, if that's what they want.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you're making the choice. Like, all right, so you just are going to ignore the intent of this order, this change your entire life, and just go ahead. And, now they shut down the bars, so, okay, I guess that's not going to be an option anymore.
I hope they stocked up on beer.
Right, exactly.
My buddy in England... a friend of mine in England said that in England, the beer sold out in the stores before the food did.
Well, I was going to say, in Wisconsin here, everyone knew that it was like a real problem when they shut down the bars. Everyone suddenly that was what caused the panic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That got people's attention.
Yeah, now this is a real thing, huh?
You're gonna what? No, we're shutting them down. You got to be kidding me. What about the methadone clinic? Is that shutting down? Lord knows.
Yeah. So
that's all we need, a bunch of sick junkies running around.
Yeah. I'm sure that'll help. That'll help things considerably.
Yeah, but I don't know. If my tour gets canceled, I can't see, anything other than waiting it out. I'm not going to be able to reschedule things in the fall. That's just ridiculous. I was going to go to Europe in late August, September, and into October, but that's out. There's just nothing. There's just no way that's going to happen.
Yeah.
No way. And so, I don't know. I'm just going to, I guess, just put the record out, and if I may not even be able to tour it, or I might have to cut my tour to where I drive all the way to the East Coast to start it.
Right, start it.
If possible.
Yeah.
Mine's supposed to start May 13th here. And tours usually end up, what you want to do is start with a show that's close to where you're at. That's
usually how it goes, yeah.
Drive in a big circle, around the U.S. It's usually what you know, that's how you normally plan it, if at all possible. But right now, who knows? I don't know what's going to happen, so no idea.
Yeah, it seems like a strange time to be releasing a record, but it is, you know, it is cool. Like, I listened to the other single, the one that's actually on Gifts of Sacrifice as well, and it's awesome that, I mean, I think Trevor Dunn is a fantastic collaborator for you on this.
Oh my God, he's great.
Because, I mean, he's just well, first of all, he's just a musical powerhouse, but...
Oh yeah, I've worked with Trevor for a long time, well over 20 years.
But it gives it a different vibe.
Including Panama.
And
what was that?
I said that it does give the record a different vibe, of course. And
that was the point.
It differentiates it from the other acoustic record, which I actually quite enjoyed. I thought it was really good.
Oh, thank you.
I usually hate those kinds of things, frankly, but
me too. That's why I did one like that.
But how did you guys approach this record? Did you just have all the songs kind of written on acoustic ahead of time, and he just added his stuff? Was it more of like a collaborative process? Like what was the process for making this record?
There was one song that we worked on together. I'm glad I could help out, which will be the next thing we put out before the record comes out, probably the last thing. Mm-hmm. And where I had a riff, and then we recorded the backing track live. And I did a scratch track for the guitar, but we ended up just using it because it was fine, you know. So, yeah. And then most of the rest of it I had already recorded. I'd had all the music done on it, and then I just he just came in, listened to it, and then he did his parts. So I don't think he even we have our own place. You've been there.
Yeah, many times.
Yeah, so it's like we don't it's great. I love it. We don't have the clock's not ticking generally when we're there, so that's kind of nice. So we can, he can take as long as he wants to do it. But I mean, he spent a few days figuring it out, getting it down, and then we're gonna originally just have him play on what would be like a tour EP.
Okay, like something just for the tour.
And then we just expanded it. I was just like, just try playing on some of these songs, that I already had done. And so he did, and I really dug it, and so we just left it. It's like, okay, now you're just going to be part of the record. So I had all the stuff already done, so it's not like that's why it says King Buzzo with Trevor Dunn, because,
mm-hmm.
We didn't really, he contributed a few things that were like instrumentals that he did.
Okay.
On bass. Short instrumentals are really cool. But by and large, it's not really, I already had it. I already had the record pretty much, so.
Yeah, it's just,
from there.
It's sort of, Trevor provided like the value added aspect.
Yeah, cool, just a cool thing. And then I was just like, I'm down for that. And, pretty much an accidentalist in a lot of ways. Cool, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
If something really cool happens, I'm not going to just sit there and go, no, I can't do that. That deviates from the norm, No.
Right.
That's not me. That's not at all. If something's cool, or if I write a song and somebody comes up with some great part that's making the whole thing better, I am not going to be the guy that says no.
No.
I'm going to be the guy that says yo.
When you
it's great. I love that kind of thing. I love it when that happens. When an idea that you have is bettered by a really good musician, there's really nothing bad about that.
Well, and there's a lot of evidence of that within the Melvins catalog as well. Like things like, when you had Jared and Cody start to play with you and absorb them into it, and it brought this whole other element.
Yeah.
That not just with them like playing their instruments, but the way the vocals fit together and everything, the dual drum stuff. Great.
Yeah.
And it definitely seemed like you were just, again, taking what was given to you by these collaborators and kind of building on it rather than trying to, force it into a square peg into a round hole.
Yeah, that's not me. I like to let the musicians breathe, let them do their thing. You'll get a much better response out of people, and you'll also end up with better music if you let these guys kind of own it a little bit.
Right. Have you ever found that?
Okay, great.
When you are playing with a new collaborator, musician member, whatever, that they start off trying to want to kind of appease like what you think they want rather than what they're actually doing?
Well, maybe. I'll have a vague description of what I want to do. And, somebody like Steven is not massively familiar. Neither was Kevin Romanis. They were not massively familiar with our catalog.
Right.
And I don't even know if they listened to us at all. That was immaterial to me. I didn't really care about that.
Yeah, that doesn't matter for what they're going to be doing for your band. I mean,
not for me. I'm not looking for super fans. I'm looking for. I liked what they did.
Right.
I really liked Kevin. I really liked Steven. And so you just kind of go, I'm not going to test. Well, what did we do on this record? Well, how familiar are you with it? None of that makes any fucking difference to me,
Yeah.
So I don't care if they're fans, and quite frankly, I'm not going to ask them if they like the music.
Yeah.
Do you like what we're doing?
Yeah.
That's just
come on,
you just ask. I don't. I'm no interest in questions like that. It's not none of my business if they like it or not.
Yeah. Are you in a 7th grade art class, or are you making something important?
Yeah. So we go into it and we're like, okay, we're going to learn some old songs. A lot of times, they had never even heard those songs.
Right.
They certainly aren't aware of them. I know Kevin wasn't, and I know Steven certainly wasn't. So then we go to learn it live, to play it live, and you have this scenario where they're watching you play it, and then I might show them a vague way of doing it, and they go, well, how is it on the record? A lot of times I'll just go, just don't listen to it.
It doesn't matter.
Don't listen to the album. You're just going to ruin it,
Well, and I think
I'm not looking for some automaton to play what I'm doing. I want you to take it. And I guess I learned that lesson from people like Bowie.
Absolutely, yeah.
Live stuff was a lot of times just diametrically opposed to what it sounded like on record. Not always, but he let his musicians do what they want.
And it made for...
Especially a guy like Adrian Ballou.
Jesus,
what are you going to tell him,
No, do it like this. It's like this.
Do it like this. I know better. No, actually you don't.
Well,
but I've been in that situation where I played with people where they had very specific things that they wanted to do, and so I just kind of sat there going through it and thinking, I could have made this way better.
Yeah.
But you're the maestro, and you think you know everything, so I'll just leave it at that. And then usually in that situation, you're just sitting there thinking, okay, how much am I going to get for this? Because it's really not very fulfilling other than on a monetary level. Well, beyond that, this is really just a waste of time for me.
And going back to the new members, playing along and stuff like that, I remember I saw one of the first Stephen McDonald Melvin shows. It was in San Jose, if I remember right. And
yeah, that was one of the first ones, yeah.
And you guys had I Flies in the set, which is kind of one of your oldest songs, at least stuff still
first
actively
album.
played, which I thought was kind of a bold move and also sort of a statement of intent. Was that something where that was a planned move, or they just were let's just try this and see how this works? Or how did that come to be a song?
It wasn't really we're going to do this for some reason other than we thought it would be good to fit in for the set that we were playing at.
Right.
That tour, whatever. However that worked. Usually with live shows, we want to do roughly a third old material, which is, older than 20 years.
Yeah.
And then a third newer material, and then a third middle of the road kind of. Mid period, whatever that may be. That's usually how we kind of balance it out. I when I go see a band play, I like to see lots of their songs, from lots of their eras. I don't want to just see, we're only playing, we don't play our old stuff anymore. Well, okay, I can see you retiring some of the songs, but you actually did write that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm surprised that you hate it, but if you hate it, that's too bad for you, because it's really not bad.
Well, you would hope that they'd still be able to have a connection to these songs that at one point, they had a deep connection to, and they can still find something there, even if it's not necessarily the same thing that was there when it was written.
I would think we're just sick of doing it. Okay, well, okay, I guess that's legitimate, but it's not very satisfying for your fans.
Right.
Not that you're looking for something that's satisfying for your fans, but I know what I like when I go to a show.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'm not the only one who likes that. So that's really the only way I judge anything. Even music that I write, it's I really don't have any idea what people are going to want as far as that's concerned, but I know what I want.
Right.
Live, when I go to see a band, I like to see them play lots of their stuff. So I figured that other people will think that too. So that's how we lay out our set.
So when you're laying out the set, you're counterbalancing it with a certain amount of, older as you defined it, older than 20 years songs, and like quote unquote the hits, and then whatever new songs you're probably most jazzed about. And
some hits. That's a hard one for us because it's just such a odd thing. We don't really, certainly don't have hits. We have songs that people like.
I mean, I was implying air quotes when I was saying that. So
yeah, of course. But we'll include some of that stuff. Sometimes I'll ask everybody, is there any particular songs you guys don't want to play on this run? That we played before? Yeah, I don't want to do this one. Okay, fine. Put it to bed for a while, and then bring it back out at some point down the line. Some songs that we wrote on every album, we never intended on playing live.
Yeah.
It was never even an intention. And we've written, I think it's written and recorded, especially with cover songs, I think probably north of 500 songs. So I'm really not going to try not to play more than about 70 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say, play them all in order.
Yeah. We did a show with the Big Business Guys where at the time we did one song off each record. It was way too long.
Yeah.
That was way too long.
I was going to bring up the fact that when you did the album tours where you played like Houdini, it was like Houdini and Bullhead or
Houdini, Bullhead, Lysol Eggnog, and Stoner Witch.
Yeah. And those are great, and it was cool because I've seen you guys play quite a bit, but as some of those songs I've never seen you play live because I don't think they ever were imagined for playing live.
No, we had to figure out a way to do it.
And that's a cool challenge, right? I mean, or I guess I should say, was that a cool challenge?
Yeah, it was good. It was a good thing. It was a good thing to do. I mean, we knew we wanted to do that, and then you're like, okay, how do we do this? Well, since we're not that precious about it, then we can just figure out a way to do it. So a lot of those you just consider them like if I was going to do a cover of a song by another band, how would I do it? I wouldn't necessarily do it exactly like they did, and I don't really mind that anyway. Oh, we don't do it exactly like it is in the record. Well, honestly, I don't think people, when they're sitting in front of their stereo, imagine they're at a live show.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And like a song like Pearl Bomb, which, is sort of built around this almost entirely unreplicatable live sound, what you did is you made it like a song as if it was just, here's a straight up like rock and roll song version of it. And it worked because like it was a well-composed song. But obviously it doesn't sound exactly like the recording, which I'm sure you weren't even referencing anyway. So I think is that the one with the CD skipping in it? I'm trying to remember. I think it is.
Oh God, I don't know.
I
don't listen to our records.
I was going to say this, when I say stuff like this is when I get emails. No one, otherwise I never hear from anyone. But anytime I'm like, well, actually it's, it's this record and this is okay, fucking fine. But,
I mean, a lot of it, I can't even remember what the song order is on the records.
Right. Well, and stuff changes when you play live too, right? I mean,
stuff always changes. We'll hear something later. I will hear something off the record and go, "Wow, we're playing that totally wrong."
But it's not because it's how you play it.
Way. Oh man, I forgot all about that part.
Right, exactly.
Oops. But we don't let stuff. We roll with stuff like that. We don't really care. I mean, people. I don't think people mind that. If they do, they should just lighten up.
I think there's a certain type of fan that maybe would potentially have a problem with that. But I think for most people, it's still more exciting when there is something that is different from just sitting at home and listening to a record or like listening to Spotify or whatever the hell people do. But
yeah, I don't really care how they listen to music. It's fine with me. Whatever makes them happy. Yeah. Life's hard enough without me bitching at them about how they listen to music.
Right. No, you have to listen this way. Only on wax cylinder.
You must listen to analog. That's it. Otherwise, you're an idiot. It's like, well, aren't you? Shouldn't you just be lucky they're listening to your stupid crap at all?
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh no.
Yes, I am.
It has to be.
I am happy. There's anyone listening to my music at all. And if I'm going to get into the semantics of how they're doing it, it's just like, you really have too much time in your hands if you're going to go that far.
The 8-track is definitely the definitive way to listen to the Melvins stuff.
If people wanted to hear 8 tracks, we would make 8 tracks.
You made that limited edition one at like Slim's, which I thought was hilarious.
I think that was a bootleg.
Was it? Oh. But
I thought it was.
That's always my example when people get very didactically obsessed with format. It's like, at one point the 8-track was considered like to be like, oh, this is the way you should be listening to it. It's like, really? Is it really? Okay.
I don't know. At the time, it was convenient for people, and the idea that you could bring that stuff into your car with you and it would sound relatively good, I guess, seemed cool to people.
And then the cassette came, then the CD came, and then we have music players. It's,
yeah,
but I think
all fine. I don't care.
It's interesting.
I personally like CDs, so
right. It's interesting that you're not format obsessive, because I kind of feel like it's the same way with what you guys play on, like with your gear. It's sort of like best sound, best thing wins, rather than being like, oh, I've always done it this way, and I'm just going to keep using this guitar or this amp or whatever.
Nah, I prefer brand new equipment, personally. I'm not a vintage guy. I think people that get caught up, oh, this sounds better, blah, blah, blah. No, you're just a shitty guitar player, because if you give that new guitar to a real guy that's really good, he's still going to bone you,
Right.
Sorry, you're wrong. You're just wrong. Oh, yeah, Hendrix couldn't have sounded good on a brand new Stratocaster from today. No. Oh, no. It would have been horrible. He couldn't have played it. It would have been just god-awful. That's insanity.
Yeah.
It's the Indian, not the arrow.
Well, we you and I have talked about that in the past, about people getting obsessed with, oh, I liked it better when you played the Les Paul instead of the electrical guitar company guitars, and like, well, really, because that was actually a Telly that's on that record,
Yeah. The best is the best people say about Stoner Witch. Your Les Paul and Stoner Witch, and I've told that story. I go, well, Revolve is actually a Jackson and a Mustang.
Right.
A Jackson that the engineer had, and the Mustang is an overdub. I think we played the solo on a Stratocaster. There's no Les Paul on it. So people, I don't know, they get weird ideas. I mean, I use so many different guitars even now, especially in the studio.
Yeah.
I have no idea what guitar was on what song. I have no idea.
Well, and that's something that...
I remember that one in particular because at that point I didn't have a lot of guitars.
Right.
And so I remember how we did it, because I was really impressed with what a great overdub double the Mustang was along with the Jackson. It was really great.
And I think you bring up an important point, that using different instruments and pairing them with each other can create kind of like new and unique sort of sounds that
oh my God.
Sound
if you just take the exact same setup that you're using, like don't change a thing on the amp or the effects boxes, and you just swap guitars, it makes a huge difference, huge difference.
Yeah, and I think that's something that I didn't consider too much until starting to work with Toshi personally. I was like, oh yeah, if you just use a different guitar on this, like that actually changes something about the song to make it sound cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, do this now. Double it with other different guitar or whatever. I use them all the time. I don't know how many. We always set up about 8 or 9 guitars ready to go at any given time when we're recording. And then I just go, I'm going to try this SG, with P90 pickups in it. The reissue Pete Townsend, 1960, brand new. I'm going to try this, see how it works. I'm going to try this brand new Firebird,
you don't use one that's vintage?
No, I don't have any vintage. I had a few vintage guitars. I sold them all.
Yeah, exactly. They're a pain in the ass.
I got a couple. I just never play them.
Yeah.
I had a Silvertone that was really nice, and then I got a brand new Dan Electro copy of a Silvertone, and it plays way better.
The Dan Electro is better. Yeah, I mean, that's what counts, right? What plays better? I mean, it really...
I've never played that. That one just sat in its case for years. I mean, I'm going to get rid of this fucking thing. I don't care about it. I just don't care about it. Honestly, me and Dale have gotten to the point now where we're like, we could walk into any studio with whatever gear was there and somehow make it work.
Yeah, and it would,
guitars, basses, drums. We could make it work.
And it would sound like you guys, because again,
it would sound like us because it's us.
It's you guys.
It's not the gear. People get gear obsessed, and I'm just like, yeah, you have this amazing setup, but you still write crap music, and I don't really like the way you play guitar, so I don't really care what you're playing.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's got a great tone. Too bad about the music.
It's a great tone. I suppose if what you want is super generic sounding stuff that you could get off an app. On a garage band,
Oh yeah,
band.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's so funny.
I don't really care about any of that.
The people.
I want to walk on stage and have a completely different setup than anybody else in the whole world. Guitar through this stuff into this amp through these speaker cabinets, and I know no one else is doing it. That I really like, and I'm making it work. You know, it's my own thing. I like that. I like working in the electrical guitar company because I'm talking to the guys that are making it.
Yeah.
I love it. I like playing with the Hilbish amps and the pedals that he's designed for us because call him up, I talk to him.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't have a manager. I don't send a manager out to talk to these people. I don't have a manager. I talk to the booking agents. I talk to whoever it is. It's just me, and so I really like that homespun thing where you're talking to these guys, and I talk to the guy. I use these cabinets from England, and I talk to the guy that builds them. And I was like, I love these cabinets. They're great.
Well, it's the same sort of thing.
Bare-faced cabinets, and he brought them to the show. I bought them on the spot.
Right.
It's like, yeah, I'll take these. Fuck yeah, I want to buy 2 more and have them shipped to the U.S. So it's just, I really like that. I couldn't be more mom and pop, even though I don't really care about that sort of thing as far as like, we got to protect mom and pop. No, mom and pop can protect themselves. And the way they do that is the way these guys are doing
Making
it,
cool
which
stuff.
is being very cool, being, cool guys. With a guy like Electrical, that's how they protect their business, because they're offering a service that no one else is offering you. Gibson certainly never offered. I think Gibson would let me redesign a Les Paul for my own.
Oh, yeah.
Are you fucking kidding? They just stare at me as if I was from Mars. Did you just beam down from another galaxy? What are you talking about? Nobody would ever do. You buy whatever crap they're building. That's it. That's fine with me. But, with these guys, I can call them up and go, I'd really like it if it had this kind of pickup in it or that kind of pickup in it, or maybe you could do this or that. Let's try anodized, whatever. Okay. And with a guy like Kevin, you're going to wait for that stuff. I've put in orders for guitars that I waited the better part of 2 years for. And people, you got yours overnight. No, I ordered it 2 fucking years.
Yeah, you thought ahead. As it turns out,
you didn't make it for me in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I think mine was about 2.5 years, and I just planned for it, and it was completely worth it. 100% worth the wait. Best purchase I ever made. Period.
I think so. I mean, you can't walk down to Guitar Center and find one of those things.
Yeah.
It's like you're buying a piece of art.
Totally, and that's kind of harkens back to what we were talking about earlier with the physical media and like the sort of art piece of it, is that just like with the records and like the screen printed covers and everything along those lines, a nice thing about going with a company like Electrical Guitar Company and Hilbish and stuff like that is that there's like somebody that's like touching every part of it. It's not just some formalized machine process that nobody really gives a crap, and like quality control's low, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. You have that
maybe, but
touch.
I'm sure you go buy a top of the line Les Paul, it's going to be fine.
Sure.
If that's what you want, I don't have any problem with those. I can make those work. If you gave me a Les Paul right now and said you got to play a live show, sure, I could do it.
Yeah,
no problem. That's right up my alley. My electrical guitars that I play live are set up like Les Pauls. They even have Les Paul pickups in them.
But it is nice to have that responsive element with the actual creator too. And that's something you're not
I love
going
to talk to them, and I talk to the guys, talk to them. And like with Hilbish, it's like I had this distortion box that I really liked, and we basically hot rodded it.
Yep, I know it well.
And added a mid sweep to it, and which wasn't in it before.
Yep.
And so then when I got them back and I A/B'd them, I go, okay, this is like this pedal except times 10.
Yeah, well,
you know what I mean?
And that was the one thing that pedal always lacked was a MIDI control, and I actually used that same original one for years, and
oh, me too.
And like no one else used it for guitar. That's the thing.
No, just me.
Well, I did too, but
you know what I mean. I mean, there was the only other person in the world.
Yeah, nobody. People are like, well, use that on guitar. That's not what that's for. It's like, well, it sounds good.
I know. Oh, yeah, don't say what it is. I don't want anybody to know.
I won't.
Yeah.
But
then the compressor. I think I saw you doing a demo with the compressor. That thing is fucking awesome.
It's awesome. It's great and it's easy to use. In fact, I have I have the whole. I have both those right next to me right now. Love it. The T-Fuzz is actually on my board, so that's not here. But it's great, and I think a lot of people completely misunderstand what compression is.
Oh, yeah.
But it's incredibly effective. Like, it's wonderful.
Oh, my God. It makes the guitar play like melted butter.
Yeah.
It's like makes everything better.
Like there's this idea, I think, that it has to be like more distorted and more and it's like, well, okay, that's cool, but like what you think is happening is not happening. Like it's not getting more present, it's actually getting less present.
Well, it's sort of like
it's cool.
When I click that baby on, it's like turning on the afterburner.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, you're like, okay, there we go. Now we're getting somewhere. If I play solos with it, oh my god, it's just like night and day.
Yeah.
If I have it on, I'll have it on for whole songs. I turn it on and off for whole songs because if you're trying to do something quiet, it doesn't really work because it adds too much noise.
Yeah.
But loud stuff, oh my god! You want to kick it into overdrive? Hit that fucking thing.
Yeah, if there's other things going on, and that was probably the hardest thing about making that demo is that when you're doing it just on the guitar and had to keep giving like if this sounds totally different with a band because you're going to get a higher noise floor when it's just on its own, but when you're with other instruments,
oh my god,
it's night and day.
Yeah. Plus, I have there's a big part of me that has a throbbing gristle approach to guitar that I think is lost on a lot of people. No, I'm really into that. So
yeah,
letting it do what it wants and screaming loud feedback and all that stuff is part of my whole thing. I love it. But that I think the compressor is the most underrated pedal that there is. I've used just the MXR one for years and years and years.
Oh sure, yeah.
And I always had I loved it for I don't know how long, 20 plus years probably. I always used it in conjunction. Put it in line after the distortion box. You can move it around and see where you like it. That's kind of where I like mine, and I like having a delay at the end.
Yeah.
Into the chain. It's just I just think it's the most underrated effect. It's the most lost, underrated, underappreciated effect out there.
It's like the Rodney Dangerfield of effects pedals.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But, and we learned that lesson a long, long, long time ago in the studio, and it's just like, oh my god, you put compression on the drum mix, it just sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Just like, where'd that come? That's how the Beatles did that. Got it.
Well, yeah, and a lot of times when people talk about vinyl and vinyl's so much better for rock music, it's like, well, it's actually worse because you're getting compression, especially with the drums, that has associations with being more like what you think of as rock music, but what you're actually getting is a more imperfect file than if you were listening to a lossless digital or CD or something along those lines, and that's what you're actually thinking sounds better. In fact, it actually sounds worse. But
they hear compression or they hear warmth, and what they're really hearing is compression.
Yeah.
Now you'll have people argue that all day long. I was like, I don't give a shit. I don't care if you have a really good stereo. And you have good speakers that aren't hooked up out of phase. That's
important, yes.
And you have a decent setup, and you put on a record, it sounds fine. And that's what yanks your crank fine with me. It sounds perfectly good. I grew up listening to records. I loved it. It was fine with me. But, there really is no arguing about it. People go, well, it's not real. Well, what do you think what do you think vinyl is? You think that's real?
Right.
Okay. Well, it's just numbers, ones and zeros. I don't give a shit about any of that. Do you imagine there was no crappy sounding records made before digital?
Yeah.
Are you joking?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guarantee you there were.
Yeah, it's crazy. I just can't waste my time on that. I just can't. It just doesn't bother me. I listen to like my iPod for convenience, but when I'm home and I want to hear something, I listen to CDs.
Right.
If I want something to keep it, then I'll buy the CD. If it's available, that's what I'll buy. It's a great deal for what you pay for them. It's a really good deal. So then we've tried in our world, because we always love CDs, to take CDs and soup them up with cool, cover art and letterpress stuff, and and see if people appreciate it. I mean, most people in the world will just walk by that stuff and not give a shit at all. But for the people that appreciate it, it's a really cool thing.
There is still a market for it too. I mean, they're not vocal, but they're definitely. There are people that still listen predominantly to CDs, and they always are appreciative when there is a CD option. And I think that's something that people tend to, like the vinyl fetishism, as this conversation goes anyway, is definitely loud and very present in the conversation. But nobody's like advocating for CDs right now. It's like considered, like a dead medium, but it's not. It's not a dead medium at all.
Well, maybe it'll go the way of the dodo bird. I have no idea, but it's cheap, and I don't understand how smaller bands can even afford to make vinyl.
Yeah, yeah.
Honestly.
It's not cheap for sure.
No, it's super expensive. I mean, when I was starting out, I couldn't have afforded that. There's no way. No chance I could have afforded that to put out a record. But now CDs are really cheap. I don't understand why people, both, especially maybe smaller bands, are doing that. I don't know, but
I see it. Some
take full advantage of it.
I see a lot of cassette with download codes too, which is
cassette.
Yeah, which is like really.
Oh my God. I lived through when cassettes were there. Cassettes were the MP3s of the 70s,
Right.
They sound crappy, but you can put stuff on it and take it with you.
Yeah, exactly. It's the portability
was it.
Everything. That was the
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you really want shit sound quality, then you can put it on cassette. It's great.
Make sure to keep a pencil handy for when the tape gets caught on the
Yeah. There's always some problem with everything, but whatever. I still have the first 2 CDs I ever bought, and they still sound fine. That was in the mid-'80s.
Do you remember what they are?
That was pretty good. Yeah, Sex Pistols and Funhouse.
Nice. Not bad.
No, those were the first 2 I bought. And what really did it for us was when we put out our first album, Glue Porch Treatments, there was no CDs. So it was just vinyl.
Right, yes.
And so when we finally put that onto a CD, and me and Dale listened to it for the first time, we're like, this is how it sounded in the studio.
Right.
I'm not listening to all the imperfections that you get through vinyl, like the cracking and popping and all the shit that you have to deal with. I just grown used to that.
Yeah. The imperfection is as like part of the overall thing.
It's like when I heard Whole Lot of Love for the first time on CD. I was so used to listening to, it just starts with the guitar at the beginning.
Yeah.
Listening to the static electricity and all that crap as it comes on.
Yeah.
When I heard it on CD, I was like, oh my God, this is how they heard it in the studio.
Right.
Oh my God, because I had recorded cassettes of it. I suppose I could have bought cassettes, but I never did that. The first time I heard it, without that stuff on a CD, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. So like with our first album, we were like, heard it, we're like, oh my God. And you could hear stuff on there that you could absolutely not hear on the vinyl. No doubt about it.
It's true.
So we were floored. We were just like, oh my God. Last time we heard it like this was in the fucking, when we recorded it, the fucking recording studio.
Yeah.
So that was cool. So anyway, like I said, though, honestly, we make vinyl. I don't listen to records. So I'm cool if people want to do that, but, it's not a big concern of mine. We'll still make the cool art and all that kind of stuff for it, but we would make cool art for any format. We would try, if we were going to do a cassette release, I would try to do, if we had,
make it worth people's time.
I would try to do something special, or who knows. It doesn't really matter to me. It really doesn't matter to me. If people enjoy listening to that stuff, or if they just want to hear a download, I just don't care. I'm just really happy and appreciative that there's anybody out there that listens to our stuff, and I don't care how they do it.
I think
that really is music is really the most important thing.
Yeah.
And as long as they're listening to that, the rest of it is just immaterial, and I just feel like, all my hard work is not for nothing.
Right, exactly. Well, and you never know how
fine with me, fine with me.
And I think that's a very evolved way of looking at it, I think, because if you get caught up in all the other stuff, I think it's just a recipe for unhappiness, really, and it's irrelevant to the movement of the thing, and
yeah, it has nothing to do with music. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You're talking about something that has nothing to do with music at all.
You mentioned Funhouse on CD, and this has come up for some reason in the last 4 episodes or so. The Stooges have come up. I know you're a big Rob Power fan. Also, do you have a?
Oh, sure. I like all those records.
In the great, it seems like there's a divide between people that favor Funhouse over Rob Power and Rob Power over Funhouse. Do you have a preference between those two?
Well, if I had to pick, I'd pick Funhouse. I think it sounds a little better, but I really like Raw Power. I think it's fucking awesome.
I mean, they're both in the pantheon of rock and roll records, 2 of the best rock and roll records ever made.
Well, me and Mark Arm both said we want Death Trip played at our funerals.
Nice.
That's on Raw Power,
Yes, it is.
Death Trip. That's it. Fine.
Enough said.
Yeah.
Talk to me. I realize we haven't really talked about this. When you're writing songs, you have a tendency to. Well, first of all, are you still using that Buck Owens acoustic? The what? The Buck Owens acoustic.
I play that sometimes at home, you know.
Beautiful guitar, by the way.
Yeah, that was actually my wife's. So when I got married, I kind of inherited it. It was good.
So when you're writing songs, it isn't like you're necessarily writing all the songs specifically for whatever the thing is. You have a tendency to kind of bank things, right? Like you'll write something, and then if you're not using it right then, like it kind of gets put on ice for a while. You pull it back out.
Oh yeah.
Can you talk to us a little bit about that process?
Well, I write songs every time I touch a guitar. Unless I'm practicing, I'm writing songs. I'm playing something, trying to think up something to write. And that's pretty much every single day when I'm home. So people go, "Oh, when you're off work." I'm really never off work. I'll take a few days where I might not play guitar, but by and large, I have a guitar in my hand every single day. I have them all over my house. So I just walk around, just playing guitar, whatever they are, whether it's acoustic or electric. And then if I come up with something, just wandering around the house with a guitar on, then I'll record it on my phone, just a riff. That's what I do now. And then I have literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of those. Hundreds.
Right.
And so a lot of times I'll know there's something good about this. I just can't figure it out right now. And so it'll sit there. And so that was always really funny. I've talked about this before where people will go, "I liked your Stoner Witch record. I don't know if I like your newer stuff." And I go, "Well, a lot of that stuff that's on our new album I wrote when I was writing all the Stoner Witch stuff." So it's new to you, and you imagine that I wrote it all at the same time. This new record is all stuff new that I wrote, and it's really not the case at all. It never has been the case. It never is the case. Some of the stuff that comes out could be decades old. It could be 10 months old. It could be, I just wrote it. Some of the stuff is new, but certainly by no means all of it. And we'll have stuff that's kicked around for 15 years, riffs that me and Dale have been playing on, trying to figure out what to do, and then finally it works, and you've put it on a record. But you can't really force that kind of thing. I don't know how it works. It's sort of like, I described it as panning for gold, It's like you dig through a mountain of shit to find these little tiny treasures. That's it. And without that process, I can't move forward at all. I have to just get through it. A lot of the stuff is never going to see the light of day. But I could just go through all that stuff and have tons and tons of material just for new songs. I probably would never have to write another riff, probably, but I will.
Well, and how do you catalog that stuff? Like, do you have like your own system for remembering what is what, or is it just like a happy accident when you go through it?
Yes, I'll just go back through it at some point. I do have a wide variety of things. I'll dump them on a CD, or I used to have them on cassettes, on a 4-track cassettes, but I got rid of all that stuff. And then I'll just go through them and figure out, maybe I can do something with that now, next. I don't know why I like that. Next. Okay, that one's pretty good. Let me see if I can do something with that. Nah, it's not happening. That's how it works. If I'm getting ready to write some songs, or if I'm having trouble trying to come up with material, then I'll go back through my catalog of stuff and listen, and then maybe work on that. But now it's so great because used to I would never write songs unless I had a way to record the riff, because I could never remember. Our stuff is, it's relatively difficult to remember, especially the nuances and the weird timings, and so I wanted to make sure I could get it exactly how I wrote it that day. And so unless I had a way to record it, I would never, ever write songs. I would only just play stuff I already knew. But now I have my phone. I can just do it. I've been doing that for a long time,
So are you
That's
using
always with me.
like GarageBand or like voice memos?
No, I just do voice memo.
Okay.
Yeah. Just for a demo of a riff. And then I'll go in and take it to practice, listen to it, and then jam it with the guys, maybe come up with a couple other parts that are inspired by that riff. Try to figure out what we're going to do. Maybe we'll talk it over a little bit. But what's cool about it, how we can make it not step on the vocal part, how we make the other instruments, not show them where the vocals might be, how we would, not undermine that or have too much busy shit going on. When you have, there's just a whole lot of things you do when you're doing that. You don't want everybody running, you don't want the 4th of July at all times. It doesn't work.
Right, like the fireworks, tough day at the fireworks factory explosion. No,
and then sometimes I'll have a whole idea for a song that come up really easy and just bring it in. Like, I remember I wrote Revolve, that song, the Stoner Witch record. I was at a hotel out by the San Francisco Zoo, just sitting on the side of the bed playing guitar, and came up with that whole fucking song, except for the very ending riff, which me and Mark wrote, just like in 10 minutes, all of it. I don't know.
And there's a
wow,
lot of
it's
parts in that song too. Like there's a lot of like
yeah,
weird transitions.
You know,
and
there's
stuff.
two main parts. There's a descending riff
Yeah.
that bridges the stuff between, and then the other part. Once I came up with that tricky little riff at the very beginning of the song, that's how I just was dicking around and came up with that. I go, wow, that's cool. And then I just kind of just built it off of that.
Well, then
really quickly. It was like maybe 15 minutes.
Right.
And then I got it up to here, and Mark came back. We were rooming together. He came back from somewhere, and I showed him the riff. And then we started jamming, and then we came up with the ending, the da 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 na 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 na, and then we came up with the ending like in 10 minutes, maybe the whole thing took 25 minutes max, you know. But that doesn't always happen.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's.
And I knew. I go, this is great. I really love this. This is going to be really cool. We arranged it, everything right there. You know, we had it done. So when we played it for Dale, we had the whole song.
Right.
You know, that was really easy. That went easy. Not a lot of the other ones. That rarely happens, you know.
I was gonna say there's a quote, I can't remember who it's by, but it's basically like, sometimes it's like a lightning strike, and often it's like the sausage factory.
Yeah, exactly. Just grinding away. I don't mind the process though. I like it, especially the second I come up with something I really like. I'm like, oh my god, that's cool. That's cool. Okay. Let me just work on that. That's good. Then I just get obsessed with it, and that's when the hours go by like minutes. You know.
So have you ever come up with something or bank something, and then you listen back to like, oh, that's cool, and then like not being able to find where you're at with it, or like get it to
all the
pop
time
the same way? So what do you do in
Oh
those?
no, something's good about it. I just don't have it right there.
Right. So do you just
So,
wait
like, there
on
was
it
a
and come
song we
back to
did.
it? Then is that the? Is that
I'll always come back to it and see. You know, because we might think of something like there was a song we did on the. God, which record is it on? I can't remember. Nudist Boots. A song called "Suicide in Progress."
Oh yeah.
Well, I had been playing that main riff for a long time, since probably the late '90s. You know, when Kevin was in the band, because he never figured out a way to do it. We had almost the whole song, and then I realized that me and Dale carefully worked out that whole intro, and I didn't know what to do with it after that. And then I finally wrote the vocal part years and years later. You know, so we had that whole beginning part, and we showed that to the big business guys. They were like, Jesus Christ, that's fucking crazy, how complicated and insane drum part.
Right.
But he was able to do it. So we had this really cool double drum part on that. But that was, you know, not a brand new thing at all. I wrote it, I think, right after I did Stag, I think. You know, so, and it took until my dogs are going crazy. I think there's a polar bear outside.
it's the quarantine times. Watch out, the zombie hordes are coming.
Watson crawling through the window with a knife in his teeth. You know.
Right, exactly.
Sick the dogs on him.
Unleash the hounds.
Yeah. Anyway.
So.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. So it's obviously something's happen quicker. Some things like take a while, but it seems like it requires a good amount of just like knowing what's good and being okay with the fact that something's not happening right at that moment in time.
Yeah,
and waiting for it.
Yeah, letting the lightning strike. You know? I can only get there from just jamming through stuff. If I can't get anywhere, then I'll just go to practice. I'll just practice my guitar, you know. And the way I practice stuff is like learning exceedingly difficult songs by other bands just for practice to see if I can do it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, man. Like Halo of Flies. I'm always impressed when you guys busted that one loose.
I just learned that on my own, you know.
Because that one's like there's so much to it, and I always love that too.
Crazy.
But when I think I saw you guys. I heard you. Well, I heard you. I think I heard the recording first before I heard you play it. But I was like, "Oh man, bold move!" Jeez.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. I don't know what have I worked on lately. I think I'm trying to do the Wanton song by Zeppelin. You know.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to tackle Achilles' Last Stand next.
Nice. I was actually just listening to that the other day. I was like, oh man, why don't
I love that? But
why don't I listen to this more?
That's the kind of stuff I'll do just to practice. You know, just sit there with the song, play it over and over, and just see if I can get some idea how make it work. It's just for my own amusement, just for fun. You know, try to pick an easy or a hard one. It's got a lot of parts to it, see if you can dig through the whole thing. I've done that with a gang of four. Done it with we just dig through the song, try to figure it out. Sometimes it doesn't work. Hendrix, everybody, just for fun and practice. It's good practice. It gets you in a mindset that you're not normally in guitar wise.
Yeah,
like,
the Gang of Four stuff. It actually surprised me as much. I fucking adore Andy Gill as a guitar player. Like how much of that's all right hand. It's all just.
Oh my God, it's great.
It's
they're one of my favorites, especially the Solid Gold record.
Oh yeah.
That was a huge influence on us as far back as our first album, especially on Ozma. That's definitely one nobody's ever thought of.
I can hear it, like Anthrax and stuff. I mean, that's like
we were the second. The Solid Gold record is the one that really got us. The song "Paralyzed." Oh my God.
Yeah, it's great.
That's really it. And then we were always been super influenced by the Flowers of Romance by Public Image, massively.
Yeah, that's another great one. So, are there any ones that like no one's latched onto that? I know you're a big Gun Club fan. Gun Club is
we love that stuff.
Birthday Party.
We did a record called Everybody Loves Sausages. That's
yeah. I forgot about that.
Bands that we felt were influences that maybe people hadn't thought of, like Bowie and Scientists, stuff like that. Throbbing Gristle.
Kinks.
Hey, listen, I have about one more minute.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say we need to wrap it up. I didn't notice the time. Sorry about that.
No, I have to actually have something I have to do.
So great talking as always.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate your time.
Last question. Why do you do what you do?
Well, at this point, I'm a professional musician. I've been making my living playing music since 1988. I could not be more happy about that. I play with two of the best musicians on earth, I think, and they make me better. And I wake up every single day. I can't wait to do that stuff. I spend 70% of my waking hours involved in somehow deciding or music in one way or another, whether it's a business of it or whether it's playing it. And it's what it's what I do. I've been doing it since 1988. I can't imagine it any other way. And I have to go back to a Bob Dylan quote, which is, they ask him, you're in your 70s. You're in your 70s. Why are you still touring? Why are you still doing this? He goes, because that's the deal I made.
Nice.
That's it.
Love it. Buzz, thanks.
The deal I made. So anyway, thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, man.
I will talk to you later.
All right, talk to you later, brother.
Okay, bye.
There's a little animal way up in the air. My nose and tongue are rolling. You can keep what you stolen, just give it back to me. I'm about to taste my vengeance, even if it did. Maybe his time is coming, and maybe he's better off.
Suicide in Progress by the Melvins there, followed by I Flies by the Melvins, taking it way back. And then after that, we had Science in Modern America off of the brand new record. The brand new one. The acoustic record that we were talking about there. That's Gift of Sacrifice. It's out on May 15th. So you can pre-order the CD. It's black vinyl, limited edition. All that stuff we talked about. Yeah, good times. Buzz Osborne, baby! Yeah! Always interesting hearing from that guy. All things Melvins.
Can you hear me now?
Are on the internet. Type in the word the Melvins and you'll... Words, the Melvins. You'll find them. Themelvins.net, I believe, is the it's a fan run site, and it's very informational. There's a Facebook group. They're on Twitter, Instagram, all the things, all the normal things that bands are on. Why do you figure it out? Jesus. Cool. Name of this show is Conan Neutron's Protonic Reversal. It happens Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, 5 p.m. Pacific on Radio Nope, radionope.com. Say yes to Nope.
As we come to the close of our broadcast day.
Archives at radioneutron.com. Find the show on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, all the places you find your podcasts.
My farewell transmission.
Rate and review to help people find the show, if you don't mind. Share it around.
Signing off, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all the ships at sea.
It's always great doing
Anyone
this.
within the sound of my voice.
There's a bunch of cool stuff coming up. Stay tuned. Subscribe. All that stuff helps.
I've got 50,000 watts of power.
Do I have anything to add?
I want to ionize the air.
Probably not. You don't want it to be the 4th of July at all times.
This microphone turns sound into electricity.
Eminently quotable, that guy.
Can you hear me now?
Don't keep the show a secret.
Out on Route
Thanks in
128, dark and lonely.
Take it easy.
I got my radio on. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Welcome to my top 10. I'd like to thank our sponsor. But we haven't got a sponsor. Not if you were the last man on Earth. She was prepared to prove it. This one goes out to a special girl. But there is no special girl. It's the end of radio. The last announcer plays the last record. The last what? Leaves the transmitter. Circles the globe in search of a listener. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Really broadcasting if there's no one there to receive? It's the end of radio as we come to the close of our broadcast day. My radio on. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? This is a test! If this had been a real emergency, hey! This is a real goddamn emergency!